Hello. Hello. Welcome to this video that is in Minecraft. I've been recording for like 5 hours, so hopefully I get it right on this try. Anyways, I've been recording this in Minecraft like all day today because I didn't want to spend the time to set up my background and everything so I can do an in-person recording. And I really don't like using B-roll. It just feels really tedious and weird, so we're doing this instead. Okay, it is time. I've been hinting at the Civil War event in my entire MCU rewrite series pretty much the entire time. As a kid, I remember my dad was telling me about the Civil War event in Marvel Comics like it was a real event that he was a part of. So when the movie came out and it looked like this, needless to say, I was immeasurably disappointed. So, one day I decided to throw out a stray video. I'd seen a lot of things and people saying that if they had access to all of the things that Marvel created and it wasn't all sold to Fox or whatever, they would just make Spider-Man and Fantastic Four and X-Men movies and not even worry about the Avengers stuff, and their MCU would be so much better. Yeah, I thought that was really fucking stupid, so I made a video basically saying that. Anyways, that video got a lot of support and did extremely well. Thank you again. It really means a lot, although it would be cool if you guys watched some of my other videos. Anyways, after that video did really well, I vowed to make a good Civil War adaptation idea pitch in the form of this video right here. This isn't technically the Civil War event. This is more of the official build-up and actual beginning first movie of the Civil War event. I'll explain a little bit at the end about how that works. So this is just my best try, and I hope that you like it, even though it might not be what you expect, and it might be something that you hate. But I hope you'll watch it all the way through, and at least try to see my vision. We're gonna start out with a bang. Spider-Man Homecoming. Spider-Man Homecoming is kind of the same. Although, instead of just being about Peter and Tony's relationship, this movie is literally no Iron Man or Tony Stark at all. It follows Peter immediately after Ben's funeral. You see, when Ben got shot, Peter made his web shooters in that moment. It took him a couple hours to get it all together and make the fluid, but he basically speed ran it. He put on his old wet wrestler costume and went out to hunt the guy who shot Uncle Ben. We don't see that play out, but it's hinted at by the fact that he has the shitty web shooters, maybe a flashback here or there. But this movie starts right at Ben's funeral. A couple months later, Peter comes home and just through sheer guilt and the memory of his poor, taken from us too soon uncle's words, he decides to become Spider-Man. He upgrades his suit, upgrades his web shooters, makes the web fluid cartridges and the belt, and he even has his little Spidey signal on his belt, and I think that could be very fun. And he goes out and uses the guilt to continue being Spider-Man for several months. This movie is still going to follow Vulture, and yes, the Vulture is planning to steal a bunch of alien technology from Stark Industries so that he can sell it. And yes, Peter is going on a date with Liz Allen, who in this universe is going to be the daughter of the Vulture. And yes, it's basically the same movie, just without any of the Iron Man tech. All of the Iron Man tech is just stuff that Peter makes himself, and all of the, he just has, an internal monologue, or talks to himself sometimes when he's, on a mission, and that'll just be what Karen was. It's hard to describe. Anyway, something that is different is that in this movie, Peter's trying to get an internship with Stark Industries. He thinks that because Tony Stark is a philanthropist and literally a superhero, that he pays his people well, and if Peter does a good enough job, he'll get a career there and make enough money to make up for the fact that Ben is no longer with them and May has to work so much in order to keep up with the bills. By the end of the movie, Peter does get the internship and things are looking up. But on the way to work, he sees a lady getting mugged in the street and decides to jump in and stop it, save the day as Spider-Man. But in doing so, he ends up being late to the first day of his new life and gets fired and kicked out. and he, like, I don't know, falls in like a garbage can and drops his shit everywhere, and fucking water gets splashed all over him, and he loses any amount of money that he had in his wallet. And it's just classic Peter Parker luck. Which will lead us right into, we're going to start off with 2 TV shows at the same time. As a quick little recap, just in case if you need to know, in Phase 2 we had a Daredevil show where he basically just fought with Kingpin over like an anti-vigilante lawsuit and then won. And that's kind of where we left it. That show didn't have a lot to do with that entire arc and saga and everything. So we kind of let it be and let it work as a way of building up to this phase. In this phase, it's going to be ramped up. Kingpin is making a run for mayor. And he's using the fact that he's suing vigilantes and he's constantly being stopped by these vigilantes as a way of trying to gain sympathy. So Matt Murdock is trying to stop that using the law. He's also dealing with the seedier underbelly of crime in the city. So we get to see some of that aspect, some of those types of vigilantes and different varying characters. While Spider-Man in freshman year takes place right after homecoming. It's mostly him trying to balance being in school and having ditched Liz Allen on their homecoming day and everything going on in that movie with his normal life as Peter. He's trying to save the day. It's a little goofier, campier, sillier, funnier. It's way more of a comedy show, for sure. But it does slowly unravel into a mystery about Kingpin and leads to Daredevil and Spider-Man teaming up to take them down in a sort of crossover season finale across both series that I think could be very fun. And in that finale, Kingpin hires Bullseye to make a vigilante look like they assassinated him. So he basically faked an assassination that gave him a lot of sympathy points, mostly in the party that was already going to vote for him, and then that in this universe is going to be the reason why he became mayor. Don't look into any of this. There's no like real allegory or political meaning behind this. This video has no political background at all, so I don't even know why you thought there was. Anyways, we're going to talk about the X-Men. X-Men Giants. It's an homage to giant-sized X-Men. Xavier finds new mutants. Not the new mutants, like the team of young X-Men, but a new team of X-Men that aren't the first class. They go on a quest to save the original X-Men from Krakoa. After doing so, they all find out that the disappearance was orchestrated by government scientists to study mutant DNA. The X-Men try to fight these scientists, but one thing leads to another, and the X-Men have to save humans from disaster, revealing themselves to the public and inspiring other mutants who are able to mask their powers to become more vocal about being mutants. They're loud and proud. We could probably hint at the Morlocks existing. Those are mutants who are deformed by their mutations, so they can't really live in normal society and hide. Maybe we could have some subplot about them being like hidden in like a prison camp in the sewers or something, but that might be a little too dark, so we're just going to leave it at Morlocks exist right now. And this is going to lead us into another show. Gifted Youngsters is one of the first original creations of this whole restructure series, along with the Captain Marvel show. This will follow the daily life at Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters. Xavier isn't publicly affiliated with the X-Men exactly. He's just a normal rich white guy. Nobody knows he's a mutant. He decided to open up a school and contract the X-Men to help teach mutants how to control their powers and also act as a home for them. You know, because some kids sometimes, when revealed to be different than how their parents expected, end up being homeless. It's a real tragedy, and I feel like this could be a fun way of showing that, like, hey, there's people out there for you. You just have to find them. I mean, no, there's no like real life allegory here. Shit. Anyways, this season is way more of like a soap opera, lighthearted, fun time, like X-Men are kind of supposed to be in my eyes. But ultimately, this season ends with one group of mutants deciding to start live streaming themselves doing vigilante work and calling themselves the New Avengers. Then getting cease and desisted immediately and having to change the name to the New Warriors. Despite there not being an original Warriors team, I think that's a funny gag and is not an allusion to any future events. Nothing could go wrong, smile. Okay, so we've been very obviously leading up to the events of Civil War, and this phase is supposed to go on for like 2 to 3 years in real life and in universe. So we have to give people a break. They can't just be expecting everything to be related to Civil War. So we're going to set up something that I really should have done earlier, but haven't really found a place for yet. We're going to introduce Black Panther. It's more or less the same movie, but instead of Civil War introducing Wakanda as a thought, like idea to the world, and then Black Panther being like the consequences of that, all of that happens in this movie. Wakanda starts fully secret. The events of this movie end up leading to them being revealed to the world, and then they become a powerhouse in world politics and economics, and the movie is kind of like that. It's just basically the same movie. Ryan Coogler is a fucking genius, incredible artist. Like, I trust him that movie would work extremely well on its own, honestly. So then we're going to transfer that into year 2 of the Civil War phase, starting with Spider-Man's sophomore year. After Kingpin becomes mayor, he immediately creates the Vigilante Registration Act, and Spider-Man has to deal with that. He has this compulsion in his heart to help people, but because of these new anti-vigilante laws, it's basically just fully illegal. You have to officially become an effective police officer with superpowers, which Peter can't do because he's like 16 years old, and also, if he reveals his identity, Aunt May would be so worried for him, and she doesn't need that stress in her life right now. Eventually, throughout this season, Peter and his friends, maybe, I don't know like how that's gonna work exactly, they realize that the vigilantes that sign up to work for the government are basically just given masks that they can put on to hide their identities while they commit extremely unconstitutional and very illegal actions of kidnapping and torturing anybody who refuses to comply with the government's horrible laws. Spider-Man puts a stop to this by tricking the Kingpin into telling him his plans, basically. At one point in the story, Kingpin reveals to Spider-Man that there's cameras in his office that only he has access to the security footage for. So Peter realizes, hey, I can just get Kingpin to reveal his secrets in his office to me on camera, and then go in and sneak into his like server room, download the files, and release them to the public. Kingpin does end up playing off this whole file leak and not losing it. Fuck, I didn't even realize how topical. Kingpin somehow maintains his position in politics, even though these very obvious files showing his corruption get revealed to the public. He just rescinds the Vigilante Act, and it kind of masks everything. We can't have any more topical political metaphors, so we're going to talk about the X-Men now. Welcome to X-Men Registration. In recent months, there's been a lot of big attacks in big populated areas that have been getting linked inexplicably fast to mutants, leading to Senator Kelly passing the Mutant Registration Act, which subtly allows for the Sentinel program that was stopped in X-Men Giants to be revived bigger and better and legally this time. This inevitably leads to the mass kidnapping and jailing of mutants who some don't even know they have powers. After a lot of covert operations, the X-Men are able to retrieve evidence that Kelly faked all of the attacks and blamed mutants, leading to a big fight live on stage, where Kelly's son gets targeted by a Sentinel and almost killed before what's the metaphor? Before they are saved by the X-Men. The X-Men use this as leverage to get the Sentinels shut down and the Registration Act rescinded. Yet again, one of these acts fails. But where the city may fail, and the state may fail, the government will rise up and just do the bad shit again, even though it's been proven to be like a horrible idea every single fucking time. No political metaphor. Welcome to Avengers Civil War. Who could have guessed that recording yourself beating up bad guys all the time and not actually taking any steps to prevent the harm from happening will eventually lead to disaster? Sometimes the people who do the attacking and assaulting end up being as bad as the people they're assaulting, but they're just doing it to kind of mask how horrible they are themselves. What? Anyways, the new warriors are live on the 4th of July when they stumble upon a house full of villains who escaped from prison. The new warriors decided they were going to do this big 4th of July event stream where they beat up these bad guys and save the day. But it turns out there's some pretty big bad guys. One of these guys is apparently known for exploding. Somehow, propane gets set off and it blows up an entire neighborhood, killing lots of families and children. I wonder how that could have happened. Luckily, Captain Marvel swooped in just in time to save a few of the new warriors and help clean up as much damage as possible. She reveals that one of those villains is someone she pretty regularly fights and is used to beating without causing any damage. It was the one who explodes that she usually beats, and then anyways, I don't even know what happened to the one that explodes. That guy's probably hanging out somewhere, like really nice and chill. She tells the kids that what happened today was horrible, and it's really not a good time for this. All they can do now is hope that things don't get worse. We cut to Tony Stark and Steve Rogers, or Captain America. His identity's not public in this, I don't think. I mean, the government knows, but I don't know. Anyways, they're walking through a bunch of government buildings, attending tons of meetings to discuss the aftermath of such a terrible tragedy. All of these events in the past few years has led the American government to consider expanding on the recently appealed Mutant Registration and Vigilante Registration Acts. They remarked that this would not have happened if these acts still existed, to the argument of Captain America and Tony Stark. They believe that this would have been happening dozens more times as giant kidnapper robots continue to assault scared children, randomly causing them to accidentally set off their own deadly powers, some of which are miles worse than what happened with the new warriors. Tony, being on his side, is kind of like a Shaq to Captain America's Kobe. They're just absolutely dunking on these motherfuckers, providing insane arguments both in private and public to hold back so much progress on this act. But eventually Tony is called to a meeting by Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin himself, who is providing counsel on the creation of this law. Kingpin convinces Tony that this is all because of him. This all started because he decided to go and play hero. This is all Tony's fault. And not only that, but also Tony's identity is public and his life isn't in any more or less danger. Neither are his loved ones. Eventually this helps sway Tony, and in a meeting, Tony backs off a little, concedes a little, gives just enough ground for Kelly and Kingpin to roll over Captain America and Iron Man. The act gets passed, and an argument breaks out between Cap and Tony. Cap reminds Tony that the reason his loved ones are safe is because he's a fucking billionaire who can just buy good security on a whim. Most other heroes don't have that. Captain America asks Tony what happens when the government decides that a terrorist in Europe isn't a threat for the Avengers to handle, but some protesting kids are. But Tony feels too bad about his part in this trend of vigilantes, and he can't come to terms with what his current actions are meaning. Captain America's sick of this billionaire fucking pity party bullshit, and he's like, hey, Tony, I'm gonna be real, man. I don't fuck with this shit. You're too rich to be, like, whining about this. You have so much money, you can literally fix all of your own problems, but now you're gonna literally get people killed because you're a sorry sack of shit. Cap rips off his Avengers patch, throws it on the table, and goes away, leaving Tony to swallow his own fucking piss or whatever the fuck that guy is doing. I don't know. He literally is just so wrong in this. It's kind of hilarious. We see some other heroes and teams reacting all around the world to the announcement of the new Living Weapon of Mass Destruction Registry, or the Superhuman Registration Act. If you have superpowers at all, you must register with the government. If you are caught using your powers without being registered, or without permission from the government even when you are registered, you are arrested and locked in an ultra-maximum security prison called the Raft. The movie is more or less over here. We get a couple montages of varying teams that we might recognize or we might not recognize. these teams who were heroes, villains, friends, rivals, lovers, they all split over the decision on whether or not to register with the government at all, leading into Phase 4, which will come out eventually, maybe. Anyways, if you liked this video, please tell me that in the comments. And if you want to see a theoretical Phase 5, because I'm definitely going to do a Phase 4, don't worry about that. But if you want to see theoretically a Phase 5, what would you want it to be? How far do you want me to go with this? And please, for the love of God, don't comment on every video. Don't comment on this video literally months later begging me to make the next part. It only applies more pressure and makes me too scared to even start. But I really appreciate it. I appreciate comments. It helps with engagement a lot. But yeah. Also, watch some of my other stuff. I'm going to be doing some Minecraft stuff soon. I'm working on a couple projects and a couple little quests that I'm on in this game that I'm going to upload eventually. So please give me your support. And I will make Phase 4 as soon as I am comfortable with the knowledge that I have on this event, which is not a lot. I am not a Marvel person. Okay. Anyways, I'm gonna go like over here or something. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, I don't really like your vibe, really. I'm just gonna go over here. Jump, figure 8.